Did you know that in Goodfellas, 1990, some of the most jaw-dropping scenes were actually based on real mafia life? From prison inmates cooking gourmet meals with razor-sliced garlic to a line that wasn't even scripted but became one of the most iconic in cinema history, this movie is packed with secrets you won't believe. So stay tuned because today we're uncovering 20 weird facts you probably didn't know about this legendary film. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and join us for more untold Hollywood secrets. Now, let's get started with the craziest fact of all. 1. The prison cooking scene was real. One of the most memorable scenes in Goodfellas shows Paul Sorvino and his crew cooking steak and pasta inside prison, slicing garlic so thin with a razor blade it would melt in the pan. Audiences thought this was pure Hollywood exaggeration, but it wasn't. The scene came directly from the real-life experiences of Henry Hill, the mobster whose life inspired the film. He revealed that mobsters lived like kings in prison, enjoying wine, steak, and luxuries regular inmates could only dream of. Director Martin Scorsese insisted on portraying this exactly as it happened, to show just how powerful the mafia really was. That attention to detail is why critics call Goodfellas the most authentic gangster movie ever made. If you remember this scene, drop a comment below. 2. Joe Pesci's iconic line was improvised. Funny how? Funny like a clown? This single line gave audiences chills and instantly became iconic. Shockingly, it wasn't even in the script. Joe Pesci improvised the entire exchange, inspired by his own personal experiences around real mobsters. He once witnessed a situation where a gangster felt insulted by being called funny, and he brought that terrifying energy straight into the film. Scorsese was so impressed, he allowed the cast to improvise the whole sequence, shaping it into one of the most intense moments in cinema history. What makes it brilliant is the unpredictability. You can see the fear in the other actors' eyes because they weren't expecting it. This scene proved that sometimes unplanned moments create the most powerful history. If you think this is the greatest gangster line ever, smash that subscribe button. 3. Real gangsters were on set. To make Goodfellas feel as real as possible, Martin Scorsese went beyond just research. He actually brought real mafia associates on the set. Some even appeared as background extras, while others advised actors on clothing, dialogue, and behavior. Several costumes used in the film weren't provided by wardrobe. Instead, actors wore authentic outfits loaned by these real-life mobsters. This gave the film a unique authenticity that audiences could feel. However, there was also risk involved. Many of these men didn't want their names publicly attached to the movie after it premiered, fearing unwanted attention from the FBI. Still, their influence is undeniable, and critics praised Goodfellas for capturing the mafia world with unmatched realism. It wasn't just a film, it was living history. If you find that fascinating, don't forget to subscribe. 4. Ray Liotta used real FBI recordings. To prepare for the role of Henry Hill, actor Ray Liotta didn't just rely on the script. He actually listened to hours of real FBI surveillance tapes of Hill. These tapes captured Hill's conversations, voice patterns, and even the way he laughed. Liotta wanted to embody Hill so convincingly that audiences felt they were watching the real man on screen. He even studied Hill's nervous mannerisms, which is why his paranoia feels so genuine in the film. That dedication made his performance unforgettable. Liotta later admitted that those tapes were disturbing, but they gave him insight into how deep Hill was in the mob world. That's what separates good acting from legendary acting. For more untold stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. 5. The famous tracking shot took hours of practice. One of the most legendary shots in Goodfellas is the 3-minute tracking shot where Ray Liotta and Lorraine Bracco enter the Copacabana nightclub. Instead of walking through the front door, they move through the back, the kitchen, and into the club in a single continuous take. This wasn't just for style. Scorsese used it to symbolize Henry Hill's seduction into the glamorous world of crime. But filming it was very difficult. The camera crew had to perfectly choreograph every step, with waiters, chefs, and extras all hitting their marks. It took multiple rehearsals and several failed attempts before they got it right. Today, this shot is studied in film schools as one of the greatest in cinema history. Smash that like button if you love this scene. 6. De Niro called Henry Hill 7 times a day. Robert De Niro is famous for his obsession with detail, and his role as Jimmy Conway was no different. While preparing for the role, De Niro reportedly called the real Henry Hill up to 7 times a day. He wanted to know how Jimmy smoked, how he moved, what he ordered at restaurants, even how he held a glass of liquor. Hill said De Niro's constant questions drove him crazy, but it paid off. De Niro's performance felt so authentic that real mobsters who saw the film claimed it was like watching Jimmy himself. That's the level of dedication that makes De Niro one of the greatest actors of all time. If you're a fan of De Niro's perfection, comment legend below. 7. The helicopter scene was pure paranoia. One of the most tense sequences in Goodfellas shows Henry Hill running errands while convinced that a helicopter is following him. Viewers thought this was Hollywood exaggeration, but it was actually true. Hill admitted that during his drug-fueled paranoia, he really believed the FBI was circling above him all day. Scorsese captured the chaos perfectly, cutting between Hill's sweaty panic and his endless tasks. The scene not only builds suspense, but also shows the crumbling reality of a gangster's life. The genius was how the camera used to put us inside Hill's paranoid mind. Critics later called it one of the most accurate portrayals of cocaine-induced anxiety ever filmed. If this scene had your heart racing, don't forget to subscribe for more epic movie secrets. 9. Lorraine Bracco almost quit the role. Lorraine Bracco gave one of the most powerful performances in the film, but at first she almost turned the role down. Bracco felt nervous about working with Scorsese and being surrounded by acting giants like Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. She worried she couldn't hold her ground against such strong personalities. However, Scorsese convinced her by saying the story needed a strong female perspective, someone who could humanize Henry's world of crime. Her decision paid off, as Bracco's performance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Without her intensity, the film might have lacked its emotional core. Comment below if you think Lorraine Bracco deserved to win that Oscar. 10. The movie had over 300 F-bombs. If you thought Goodfellas had a lot of swearing, you are absolutely right. The movie contains over 300 uses of the F-word, averaging more than 2 per minute. At the time, this broke the record for the most profanity in a mainstream film. Most of these curses came from Joe Pesci's character, which made his performance even more terrifyingly authentic. While some critics argued the language was excessive, Scorsese defended it, saying that this was exactly how mobsters spoke in real life. The constant swearing wasn't for shock value, it was for realism. Today, that record has been broken by other films, but Goodfellas set the gold standard for gritty, uncensored dialogue. 10. Real mobsters loved the movie. Here's the weirdest twist. Actual mobsters loved Goodfellas. While many crime movies offended the mafia, this one gained their respect. According to insiders, gangsters admired how accurately the film captured their world. The money, the paranoia, the betrayals. Some even approached Henry Hill after the film's release, joking about how well Scorsese told their story. The wardrobe and dialogue were so realistic that mob insiders claimed it felt like watching their own lives on screen. Of course, not everyone was happy. Some feared it revealed too many secrets about how the mob operated. Still, the film's authenticity earned it street-level approval, making it one of the rare times Hollywood impressed the very criminals it portrayed. Show us some love for Goodfellas in the comments. 11. The cast ate together like a real family. To create chemistry, Scorsese had the cast of Goodfellas spend long dinners together before filming. Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, Lorraine Bracco, and others would sit down at authentic Italian restaurants, eating pasta, drinking wine, and staying in character while talking. These dinners weren't just rehearsals, they were bonding sessions. By the time filming began, the actors already felt like a tight-knit crew.
This natural comfort shows on screen, especially in the dinner table scenes where the laughter feels spontaneous. Even the awkward silences were rehearsed in those dinners, giving the film an eerie sense of realism. It was Scorsese's genius way of ensuring the cast wasn't acting family life, they were actually living it. Show us some love for Goodfellas cast in the comments. 12. Ray Liotta's mother died during filming. While filming Goodfellas, Ray Liotta went through an emotional tragedy. His mother passed away from cancer. During her final days, Liotta was juggling hospital visits with long shooting hours. Shockingly, the day after she died, he had to film the scene where Henry Hill pistol whips a man outside his driveway. Liotta later admitted that his rage and grief poured directly into that violent performance, which is why it feels so raw and authentic on screen. Critics called it one of his most powerful moments, but few knew the pain behind it. Scorsese gave him space, but Liotta insisted on working, using acting as his outlet. That scene became a cinematic classic born from real heartbreak. Show us some love in the comments for Ray Liotta. 14. The Lufthansa heist was based on real history. The movie showing the Lufthansa heist wasn't fiction. It was a real 1978 robbery at JFK Airport, where mobsters stole over $5 million in cash and nearly $1 million in jewelry. At the time, it was the largest cash robbery in U.S. history. The film's depiction of the aftermath, paranoia, killings, and betrayals was frighteningly accurate. Most of the real conspirators were murdered or vanished, and the stolen money was never fully recovered. Henry Hill's testimony later exposed key details of the heist, shocking investigators who had been stonewalled for years. Scorsese turned this infamous true crime into one of the chillingest parts of the film. Hit a subscribe button if you love real crime stories. 14. Scorsese's mother appeared in the film. One delightful fact, the sweet woman who plays Tommy DeVito's, Joe Pesci's mother, is none other than Martin Scorsese's real mother, Catherine Scorsese. She appears in the famous dinner scene where Tommy shows off a painting after a brutal killing. Catherine wasn't a professional actress, but her warmth and humor added a natural touch. That entire scene was mostly improvised, and Catherine's genuine reactions made it even more authentic. Scorsese often cast his parents in small roles. His father also appears as a prisoner in the movie. Fans loved this Easter egg, and it became a charming signature of Scorsese's filmmaking style. Even in a violent story, family love sneaks in. Comment below if you noticed Scorsese's mom in that scene. 15. Joe Pesci's Oscar-winning speech was just 5 seconds. Joe Pesci delivered such a terrifying and unforgettable performance as Tommy DeVito that he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. But what really shocked everyone wasn't just his win, it was his acceptance speech. Unlike most actors who deliver long, emotional thank yous, Pesci simply walked on stage, accepted the award, and said, "It was my privilege. Thank you." That's it, just 5 seconds. It became one of the shortest Oscar speeches in history. Fans say this perfectly matched his no-nonsense personality and the intensity of his role. Even today, people re-watch that clip because it feels so unique compared to Hollywood's usual dramatic speeches. Sometimes, less is really more. 16. The movie nearly had a different title. It's hard to imagine Goodfellas being called anything else, but originally the studio wanted to name it Wise Guy, based on the book by Nicholas Pileggi that inspired the film. However, another TV show with the same title already existed, and executives worried audiences would get confused. After much debate, Scorsese decided on Goodfellas, a term mobsters actually used for one another. The new title not only avoided legal problems, but also captured the essence of the film's brotherhood and betrayal. Ironically, many insiders believe the change made the movie even more iconic. It's proof that sometimes the smallest decisions, like a title, can shape the legacy of a masterpiece. Show us some love in the comments if you prefer Goodfellas over Wise Guy. 17. The cocaine scenes were too real. When Ray Liotta played paranoid, sweaty, drug-fueled Henry Hill, audiences were shocked at how real it looked. That's because Scorsese designed the entire sequence, from the music to the shaky camera movements, to mimic a cocaine high. Liotta said he didn't actually take drugs, but he physically pushed himself to exhaustion before filming, staying awake and pumping his body with caffeine so he looked genuinely restless and wired. The result is one of the most realistic portrayals of cocaine addiction in film history. The jittery edits and frantic pacing even make viewers feel paranoid themselves. Critics later praised it as cinema that makes you experience the character's madness firsthand. Subscribe now for more crazy behind-the-scenes Hollywood facts. 18. The real Henry Hill had a comeback. After his mob life ended, Henry Hill didn't disappear. Instead, he became a public figure, doing interviews, books, and even appearances on TV shows. Surprisingly, Hill embraced the fame that Goodfellas brought him, despite the danger it could have caused him. He gave lectures on the consequences of crime, sharing how quickly loyalty can turn into betrayal. Scorsese used his life as a template, showing both the glamour and terror of mafia life. His story proved that the real world behind Hollywood's glamour was far darker than anyone imagined. Watching Ray Liotta portray him on screen, fans sometimes forgot this was based on a real man's life. If you want more real gangster stories, hit subscribe. 19. The movie nearly didn't get an R rating. Goodfellas faced huge challenges with the MPAA due to its extreme violence, profanity, and drug content. The studio worried about an NC-17 rating, which would have ruined box office potential. Scorsese had to negotiate, arguing that everything was based on true events and needed to remain authentic. He refused to cut the shocking scenes, insisting that censoring them would weaken the story's impact. Ultimately, the film got an R rating, barely, but kept all the brutal honesty intact. Critics praised this decision, as the rawness is exactly what makes Goodfellas timeless. The movie's edge, unflinching portrayal of crime, and adult content remain key reasons it's considered a classic. Show us some love in the comments if you think the movie's rawness makes it legendary. 20. The film changed gangster movies forever. Finally, Goodfellas didn't just tell a story, it revolutionized the gangster genre. After this film, every mob movie tried to capture its combination of fast-paced storytelling, real dialogue, and brutal honesty. Directors like David Chase and shows like The Sopranos owe their style to Scorsese's approach. By blending dark humor, shocking violence, and real-life accuracy, the movie set a standard that has rarely been matched. Its legacy continues in every film about organized crime, making audiences obsessed with authenticity and character-driven storytelling. Without Goodfellas, the gangster movie genre might never have achieved its current level of sophistication. If you love gangster movies, don't forget to subscribe.